is up, fam? Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with J&J. We're so excited to be with you guys today. If you haven't already, check out our first episode of season 2. It's Tough Conversations, and Jazz and I really go into some cool things that we've learned about tough conversations. And if you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, share this content, comment, reach out to us. We want to hear from you guys. Thank you to everybody that's been a part of this journey so far. It really is awesome to hear from you guys, and we really appreciate that. And today we have another fun topic to talk about with you guys today, so we're going to jump into it.
Our fun topic is mindset. We want to go deep and kind of like unravel the things that you think about and why you think about these things. Yeah. And we'll just go deeper into that.
Yeah, it's super important how we think. Yeah. What we're thinking and what we listen to, how that shapes what we're thinking, how our circumstances around us,
what we watch,
those things can really impact us if we're not careful. And so
also our past, what we lived through, all these things come into factor of like why we think and why we believe these things. And so that's what we want to go ahead and share with you of what we learned.
Yeah. And I guess this first thing I want to talk about is how mindset really does impact your life. Your mindset will impact your life regardless of whether you think it will or not. Whether you have a growth or set mindset, whether you think things can change, whether you believe in yourself, whether you believe the world is out to get you, whether you believe any of these different lines of thought that people do believe, your mindset and how you set that is really going to determine how successful you're going to be in life. Because, we go through situations, all of us are going to have hard moments, hard situations, messy breakups, so many different things that we will experience in our life, and our mindset through those things is so important. I think in my life, growing up, I had the mindset that I could do anything. I was, very entrepreneur. Like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I can do this. I'm confident in myself. And as I got older, I got a little bit more insecure. I was focused on, maybe I can't do that. Maybe I need to temper my expectations. And almost got to the point where I didn't think I could do much of anything at all because I was so critical of myself of like, no, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this better. This person does it better than you. Getting into situations where you're like comparing yourself all the time. And listening to things, that are kind of like, doomsday predictions and stuff like that of like, hey, like focusing really on myself and focusing on all my flaws, and focusing on, those things. And it really kind of changed the trajectory of my life at that point because life just seemed a lot harder, I guess, And
then also too, like you're going through life and like, you're not perfect. You are going to fail at some things, but not allowing those failures make you a failure. Yeah. Right? Like just because you didn't do something right or it didn't have the outcome that you were planning for doesn't mean you suck at that thing. Yeah. You just have to work harder. You just have to keep going, keep pushing. And I think changing that mindset of like failing at something to be like, okay, well, one, I suck at that. I'm never picking that up again and never doing it again. And then changing that and be like, you know what? I failed at that, but I think if I keep at it, if I keep working at it, if I keep putting more thought or more work into it, I'll have a better outcome next time.
I think it's like the mindset of you can either have when you make a mistake, you can either focus on that mistake and focus on why you did the wrong thing, or you can realize, hey, I learned something from that mistake. I learned what not to do. I learned that I need to approach it from a different angle. But it all comes on the mindset. Like two people can go through the very same experience and one person can come out of it and learn something and the other person can stay focused on how they are a failure, or, hey, because I failed this one time or I failed this subset of times, I am a failure, versus, hey, I have now learned. And having that determination to keep going despite failure. And
then also too, I just thought this right now. It's like, if you allow failure to take over your life, you also step into something of quitting.
Yeah.
So you fail at it. So then you become a quitter because you're quitting at these things. So those are two negative things that you kind of don't want to be stuck in.
You convince yourself to becoming a failure more like you convince yourself that, oh, because I did something wrong, that's who I am. And because I did this is I can't do anything right. And it starts right here in your mind. It's a battle sometimes every day.
Your mind is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So it's very important what you put into yourself. Like, what are you wanting to reap? What are you wanting? If something happens to you, what are you wanting to come out? Like, what is the fruit, you know? So I think that's something big. Like us, we are firm believers. So what we put into our lives is the word of God, and faith and love and peace and kindness and joy and just all these things. And I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not. When trials hit, they hit hard.
Yeah.
And are you going to go back to what you firmly believe in? Or are you going to go to what the circumstance right in front of you? And it's super easy to just turn to that circumstance and say, wow, well, this is what's happening right here. This must be what I have to believe.
Yeah.
And I think as me, I'm speaking for myself. Like, if I say I'm a believer of this, I must believe this. Even in a trial, even if something hard is going on, I choose to believe something else.
You have to know what the truth is. We're all going to go through hard times. We're all going to have difficult situations, but your mindset will determine how you navigate those situations. There could be two people, like I said, on the same identical path and have very different outcomes, because when one fails, they get back up, and the other person fails and they want to stay there. When someone says something or some type of situation comes that kind of tries to crush you, you reject that because you know it's not the truth. And
I think what's important too is, like, we are not, when we say this is not the truth, this is what's going on. Yes, we acknowledge that this situation is real. This situation is going, but we don't believe the outcome has to stay like this.
Yeah.
That we have a higher faith. We have a faith of knowing that this outcome is going to be turned into something better or something good, that we don't have to stay stuck here. So I just wanted to clear that. We are not ignoring the fact that this is happening.
There are problems, yeah.
We are acknowledging it, but we're not letting this stunt our belief and our faith. So what I think we can relate this to is, like, we are big sports people, right?
Yeah.
I grew up playing softball. He grew up playing football, basketball. We grew up playing these things. And so how I turn, like, my thinking is, like, I can put it into a situation of softball, right? That's how my thinking automatically goes to. So let's say you're having a slump. You're not hitting, like, you're just in a slump. You go up to bat, you strike out every single time, right? There's a softball and any sport. It's not just a physical aspect. It's a lot of your mental.
Yeah.
Lot of mind aspect.
Believing in yourself. Knowing that you are able to do something. So if you go up to bat and you've been striking out every single time, and you go up to bat knowing that, oh, I'm just going to strike out again, or, oh, I'm going to get out. Most likely that's going to happen. And what I coached for a little bit. So what I told my girls, like, in practice, we're going to keep working on our fundamentals. We're going to keep working on these things. But when we go into a game, we're going to change our mindset. And I don't care if you struck out every single time. Next time when you go up to bat, you are going to know that you're going to get a hit. And honestly, it's just a confidence thing. Yeah.
If you go up there confident, knowing that you're going to do something, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
It's more likely to happen, at least.
It's more likely to happen. And vice versa. If you go up there and just already like, oh, I'm about to get out, that's most likely going to happen.
And why is that? It's because when we believe that we can do something, we're not going to give up.
Yeah.
When we believe that we're already defeated, what's the point of trying? And so it changes our entire mindset when we're going through a trial. If we believe we're defeated and we believe this trial is our reality forever, then why are we going to try to fight? Versus when we know that it's a trial and we believe that there's something better for us, we're going to fight through that. It causes something in us to keep going and keep fighting. And that's so important that we have that, because otherwise this world and this life can crush you. But when you have the mindset that, no, I know who I am, I know what I where I need to go, and you focus on those things. And you focus on the good things in your life. Like even in a relationship, you can, look at someone that you love and care about, and you can focus on every single negative thing about them. And you know what? There'll probably be a long list because we're all human, but you can also focus on every positive thing about them and not ignore the negative things, but understand that, hey, there's a reason I'm fighting for this. There's a reason that I want to have these tough conversations with this person. There's a reason that I'm going to go deeper because I see all of this. And so that mindset shift. And another thing from Jasmine's example, when you have a bad mindset in sports, it affects those around you. Like it impacts your teammates. It impacts those who are rooting for you. It impacts everybody. And so when we have a negative mindset and we're, projecting that, it's going to impact the relationships around us. It's going to impact those people who are in our life. And typically it's going to have a pretty negative impact, so that everyone thinks, oh yeah, they're going to strike out. Oh, if they're striking out, I mean, maybe we're just cursed as a team. Maybe, especially like when you're in a situation where someone's really close to you and they feed off your energy,
or you're a person of influence and people are looking up to you and they see you as the person of like, oh, that's the person that's always going to get on. And if she's in a bad slump, I must be in it. Like if she's not good, I'm not good. Like it's just, you have to watch what you say in front of people. And like, go ahead.
And whether you believe it or not, people are watching you. People do see what decisions you make, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's, people that maybe you work with or something like that. People look and they can see the, results of your choices and the results of your mindset. And so it's very important that we begin to believe in ourselves, and that's how it's going to impact every part of our life.
And I also think, like, I just go back to it. When we think of person of influence, we think of like these YouTubers, these Instagram influencers, like these huge people with the huge following. And yes, that's true. But also like you have influence in someone's life, whether it's like your sibling, your parents, your coworker, your person you're going to school with. You have influence on someone. And I think it's very important that you take that. You don't take that lightly. Like you don't just brush off like, oh, I'm just your average Joe, your ordinary thing. Like, no, we are people of influence. Every single one of you are. And it's important to have a mindset where we know we're going to be able to do things and we're going to be good, And
typically what you believe is what you speak, right? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. I believe it says that in Proverbs. Is what we will, like, if we believe and we have a certain mindset, we will begin to speak that. And if death and life are in what we speak, then if we continue to speak the wrong mindset, if we continue to speak death over our situations, if we continue to only speak the negative that we see, that eventually is what's our world is going to look like.
Because what you speak is really what you believe, right? So if you continue to speak negatively, like you're going to believe that.
And even
true.
Even Jesus says in Matthew, he talks about it's not what like goes into a person that defiles a person. It's what comes out of his mouth. That's what defiles you. Like what comes out of your mouth when you're speaking negatively, that's going to change your circumstances. And so it's so important that we have a mindset of joy, of peace, of patience, of the fruit of the Spirit, that we're intentional about believing in ourselves, believing in others, believing the best about ourselves, believing the best about others, and having the mindset that really does see the good and that understands the negative and that the bad things can be there, but that if we work hard, we can get through those things. And I think it's so important that we have that mindset.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like, if something terrible does happen to you, like, yes, you're going to deal with that. But then also I always think like, yes, this happened, but there's also something to be grateful for. There's also something that I can give thanks for. And I think once we switch that mindset of like only focusing on the negative and we change it to like understanding like, yes, this is negative, but I'm going to give a spotlight to this positive thing and allow that to cheer me up, or allow that to give, like I'm able to give thanks to this. And it helps you not to just focus on this negative thing and like just have tunnel vision of that. Because once you are just only focused on something that's negative, it can like eat you alive.
Really, yeah.
Honestly, like, cause, and I'm just talking to like, just being honest and real with you. Like, I'm, like I always say, I'm a person of faith, and I have like belief in everything. And just like when I went through a trial, and it was really hard for me to find something good. It was so hard for me of like, God, I know you're good, but like, this doesn't feel good in the moment. And it really like pushed me. What helped me is I had a great person with me to put my focus on something good. And it wasn't never to not let me heal, or to not let me like focus on something else. It was like, it gave me a new hope. There's always something to be hopeful for. And I think that's what, when we're telling you like your mindset impacts your life and you can change your mindset, we are wanting you to not just focus on terrible things that are happening in the world or in your life. Like, yes, these things are happening, and we want you to walk through that in life and heal that in your life. But we also want you to know that there's hope, that there's something to be grateful for, that there's something that is going to be turned good from this bad, you know?
And I think that's kind of, how do we have the correct mindset? How do we change our mindset, and how do we maintain the right mindset?
I think what we want to know is there a way? Yeah. Like, I know people are so stuck in their same spots, and they're like, is there a way out? Yes, there is a way out. Yes, there's a way for you to change your mindset.
It starts with what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and then what you're saying. What are you speaking? And the reason I say that is, if you're consistently consuming content or ideologies that are negative, that lend you to think negatively, that speak to how terrible you are, and whether it's people also, like it could be people, it could be, YouTube videos, it could be movies, it could be music that you're listening to. If those are the things you're consuming, eventually that's going to start to shape your identity. And when you begin to speak those things over yourself, like when you're going through something and you don't do it well, if you consistently say, I suck, I am this, I am that, I am blah, blah, blah,
I'm not good enough,
that is going to reinforce what you're already thinking. And the way that we can change how we're thinking is change what we're receiving in. What are we saying about ourselves? What are we speaking about ourselves? What are we speaking about our situations? What kind of music is feeding us? What kind of content is feeding us? What kind of people are in our life? And are there people that are speaking love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness over us? Are they people that are speaking death and destruction, Is it people that truly believe in you and have the best intentions for you? Or is it people who want to see you fail, or like that are happy that you're not doing well? And on it, and it's sad to say this, but there is some people. There's haters out there. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I want to surround myself with the community who's going to push me, who's going to encourage me, who's going to love me when I don't do something right, who's going to correct me in love. Yeah. I want to put myself in around people like that. And I think that's what's super important that you have to, that's going to help change your mindset. Like, who are you hanging out with? Yeah. If you are thinking a lot of negative things, are the people around you thinking the same thing? Is that where you're getting it from? And kind of take account of, why do you want to keep hanging out with people who are so negative? Or is it when you were a kid, your parents spoke things over you? Your coaches spoke things over you. Your classmates spoke things over you. Maybe it's not even people. Maybe it's things the world has said about you, that people have commented on social media. do you believe those things? And we have to have the identity of ourselves. And we're going to talk about this at one point when we're talking about identity, but you have to know who you are. You have to know what is right, so that despite what people may say, again, how do you surround yourself with right people if you don't even know what the right thing is? That's something to ponder for a second. If you don't know what the right thing is, you don't know who to surround yourself with. And it's so important that if we want to change our mindset and maintain the mindset that is good, yes, we surround ourselves with the right people. We consume the right content. There's a Bible verse that talks about whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely. You need to think about these things. You need to think about those things. You need to speak those things. And when you start to do that, you'll start to see your mindset change. And then I believe firmly that when your mindset changes, you'll start to see your life change. Yeah. You'll start to see situations in a different view, and you'll have a different perspective about how to solve different problems, about how to fight through adversity. And that's so important that we have that, especially when life is hard. In the day and age that we live in, you're going to go through hard things. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but you can handle those things differently.
Yeah. And I think another example that anyone can like follow with is too of like working out, wanting to create a better life for your body. And because I know that's to start somewhere, that's to me, that's the hardest part, to start. Once you start doing something, like start working out, you go with the mindset of like, oh, I'm doing this to get better. I'm doing this to be healthy. I'm doing this. You're doing this for some reason, right? You're doing it for a reason, but you have to constantly remind yourself why you're doing it, because there's going to be times where you're like, I'm tired, or this is busy, and like I'm super sore. Like
I don't see any results yet.
Yeah, there's just so many things that come at your life, right? But I think it's super important to remember your why. Why are you doing this? And then once you continue to do it and you are consistent with it and you are starting to see results, you see, and you are happy. You're like, wow, my arms are getting stronger, or I'm getting my legs stronger. Or, I don't know.
I feel better. I have more energy.
Yeah, exactly. All these things. And then you start getting excited and you start seeing the outcome and you start seeing the consistency of all these things, and you continue to keep doing that. Right. And I think that's exactly what you can apply to anything you want to do in your life. Whether it's like, oh, I want to start being on time to things, right? So you have your why. You want to be on time to things. So you start applying these things. You start being consistent about it.
You believe that you can be on time, and that if you put the right parameters in place, you will be.
Yes. And honestly, that's something I'm still working on. I'm good with that at work. When things I know I have to be, I'm there. But like if it's parties or something that I don't really have like an accountable time that I need to be there, I get like wishy-washy. But then I'm know like, oh, I'm wanting to do this in every aspect of my life. So I'm not going to allow these things fall short. Right. But think of these things that you want to change your mindset about, right? Think about that and think why you want to do it. And let that be your motivation of why you want to change it, and be consistent about it. Once you're consistent about it and start seeing these outcomes, you're going to remember a time where you were not like positive, where you're not thinking about those things. And you're just like, wow, look how far I came. And you go ahead.
And I think it's like, sometimes when we do think negatively, we're like, oh, we want to get down on ourselves. It's okay. Like all of us go through times human. where we think things and we say things that we don't believe or that we do believe in, and we have to change our mindset. But be real with yourself. If you're struggling with something, be real and honest about it. Don't just try to push it down and deal with that issue, and understand that might be something that's driving your mindset. Understand what is driving the way you think right now.
But also too, like what Joshua was saying, is like, be real, do all these things. You don't have to go through these things alone, right? Like find an accountable partner, find someone you trust that you can go to, speak to those things. Because honestly, if you try to deal with some of these things on your own, I'm not going to lie, like you can get to a moment where you feel like you're stuck and there's no way out. And I'm not going to lie. Like I tell you, like I'm this person of faith and all these things. And like when I went through something, I felt like I knew all the truth. I knew all these things, but in that moment, I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe what was right in front of me, the problem that was right in front of me. And I was not myself. And I knew because I was not myself and I didn't like the way I was feeling, I went to my husband. I said, this is what I'm feeling. This is what happened. Help me. Basically, help me. Like, this is what truly I believe, but right now I'm not believing this at all. At all. Like, help me. What can I do? And it wasn't of him of like, like telling me step by step what I need to do. It was him loving me, him hearing me out, him like kind of restoring my faith and my hope, and like knowing that I'm not in this alone, that we can do this, walk through this together, and that we're going to come through to the other side together victorious. And that's what I really, really encourage you to do. Don't go through trials or don't go through sufferings alone. Like but also don't just go to anyone.
Yeah.
Go to someone you trust and know who has not experience with it, but like know that they're going to have a positive impact in your life.
Has your best interest at heart.
Yes.
And I keep thinking about sports analogies here, but if you have a teammate that believes in you and you believe in them and you both speak that you can do something, you're going to be way more likely to accomplish the things that you want to do than if you go into it solo, the Lone Ranger over here, also trying to sustain yourself and then having the wrong mindset. Like all of those things, we can be practical about. Like if we want to be successful, we have to speak it into existence. We have to be consistent. We have to understand that when we go through hard things, that our circumstances are not our story. That's not our destination. And that if we really want to see the things that we've prayed about, the things that we've hoped for, the things that we've dreamed about come to pass, we have to put, steps in place to do those things. And we have to put people in our life that will help us understand that you can do it. I believe in you. I think like if I was playing with a teammate and we're playing basketball and that person doesn't believe we can beat the other team, it's going to be really hard to beat the other team. It's going to be really hard to win that game.
If you're fighting the other team, and then also your teammate who's supposed to be helping you.
and you've all, again, if you don't watch sports, you might not know, but if you watch sports, when there's a team that believes they can't win because it shows in how they play. It shows in their effort. It shows in their belief. It shows in their sideline. And when you don't believe you can do something, you're never going to be able to do it. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can. You have to surround yourself. And when you change your mindset to believe that you can do things, you'll also change your habits. When you really believe you can accomplish something, you will be more likely to set the alarm in the morning to go to the gym, to put parameters around what you eat, to put a workout plan in place, to hire a personal trainer if you believe that you can come. But if you don't believe that you can be healthy or that you can, get to the shape that you want to, then you're not going to do anything. You're just going to stay there and be like, this is what it is. And so really want to encourage you guys today that you can change your mindset with what you're consuming, with who you're surrounding yourself with. You should always believe in yourself. Know that you can do it. And with God, all things are possible. And our mindset is so important with how we view the world, how it shapes our worldview, but it's also so important about how we accomplish the things that we set forth. And so we hope you hear us today on some of these things and how important they are to implement in your life.
Yes. And also it's very important to be also your number one cheerleader.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's amazing to hear words of affirmation and have all these things, but sometimes it's not always going to be like that. Yeah. Like you have to be confident in yourself of like knowing when you hit a milestone or when you did something that you've been working so hard, is to kind of appreciate yourself, like congratulate yourself. You're like, wow, I've been working at this and this is happening. I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing these things.
Journal, write it down.
Yes, I'm seeing these things come to pass. be your own cheerleader. That's okay. I'm my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah. She's her biggest fan of her comedy. Like in the world.
I think I'm the funniest person, and I laugh at myself. And when Joshua doesn't laugh at me, I'm like, what's wrong with your, like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with your sense of humor?
Like, I'm funny. And honestly, like, not to be like too cocky with yourself, because I'm not cocky. Like, I'm only that way with him because like he's my husband. I'm like, my realist with him. But yeah, be your own cheerleader.
Believe in yourself and know that you can do things. One thing I just mentioned is writing things down. Like, write down milestones and check them off when you completed them, and congratulate yourself when you've done those things. And then you have a track record of, hey, these are all the times I didn't think I could do something. Write down at the beginning of a goal why, what you're trying to do, what you believe in, so you have something to go back to. And then over time, when you see, wow, I remember when I was in this spot and I didn't think I was going to get out of it, but I worked hard and I did what I was supposed to do, and look what's happened over life. That gives you so much more of a perspective, because it's hard to see the whole perspective when you're in the storm.
Yeah. And I think my favorite thing about journaling is I like to put everything down to what I'm feeling, and I like to be extra. Like, I love to like say everything that I'm feeling. If I'm mad and like the reason why I'm mad, I'm going to say that, and what happened in the situation, I'm going to put it. And then like, I think it's super funny reading back on those things. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I was so petty. Like, this wasn't even a big deal, and this is how I was acting. But then it like super cool to see the outcome of like, oh, this is how I felt in the moment. And then where I am at right now, it gives me a better perspective of like, oh man, if I stayed stuck in that little area, I don't know how the outcome would have been. Yeah. Like, but because I had a positive, I became positive and had positive emphasis on this thing. This is the outcome now. And it's super cool to see. Super, super cool to see.
And I think that helps you reaffirm your belief in yourself sometimes, when you see, hey, over time, I've been through some stuff. I've learned some lessons hard, and I've come out on the other side. And so that when I go and face this thing again, I now have confidence that, you know what? It was hard, but I got through it. God helped me get through. I know he will do it again. You know, when I think about the faithfulness of God, sometimes the first thought in a hard situation isn't the faithfulness of God. Like, that's not the last thing I think about. It's, oh my goodness, why is this so hard? Why are you giving me your hardest test? Like, all these things like that. And so that's your initial reaction, but then it's having wisdom and having maturity to like open up my journal or open up a note that I have and be like, wait a second, I can get through this. Yes. I have a support system. I have people that care about me. I'm going to be honest about how I'm feeling. I'm going to be honest about what I'm going through. I'm not going to downplay anything, but at the same time, I know that this is not the end of my story. Exactly. And so today I want to encourage you, whatever you're going through, it's not the end of your story. You have the ability to change your mindset. Yeah. Think about what you're listening to. Think about who you're around. Think about what you believe. And find out if those things are moving you in the direction that you want to go. And if not, sometimes you need to change those things. And so I want to encourage you with that today. As always, we love you guys.
Thank you so much for watching, listening. Thank you. And if you have been through something and that you changed your mindset, like, we want to hear your story. We want to know you. So just,
if you're going through something now and you want advice and you want help, like, please reach out. Feel free to DM us. Feel free to, shout us out or something like that. We want to hear what you guys have to say, and we want to hear your perspective as well.
Yeah. We love you guys. See you next time.
Love you guys.